Again, there has been much comment in some quarters about the fact that newly appointed Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood is Muslim. Indeed, the subject was trending on X this morning. Some people seem to have forgotten that this is not the first Muslim Home Secretary whom we have seen. That was, of course, Sajid Javid, who held the post for a little over a year, from April 2018 to July 2019. Which brings me neatly to a point which I have been considering this morning, which is the way that some new rule appears from time to time in British politics, to which both the major parties adhere and are seemingly committed to, but which is never spelt out openly. More than that, it's never reported in the newspapers, and nor do people discuss it out loud, however obvious it might be. These new rules are simply presented to us as a fait accompli, and if we notice them and speak of them, then we are regarded with suspicion as troublemakers. Here is the rule with the appointment of Home Secretaries. They should, if possible, be women or belong to a visible minority, and preferably share both these characteristics. I mention this not in a spirit of disapproval, but rather as something which has clearly been decided somewhere along the line, but never, as I say, mentioned out loud. I'm not expressing disapproval of the scheme, but I am instead simply drawing attention to it and speculating as to when and by whom the business was decided. First, a brief historical survey of the post of Home Secretary. The post was first held in 1782, and for the next 225 years, every single Home Secretary was a white British man. Then in 2007, that tradition changed, as a woman was first appointed Home Secretary. A white man, Alan Johnson, held the position for a year, and since he left in 2010, 15 years ago, a white man has only held the post for less than a week. This was Grant Shapps, who was Home Secretary between the 19th and 25th of October 2022. So, for 225 years, nothing but white men as Home Secretary, and for the last 15 years, a white man for just 6 days during that time. There can be no doubt that this is not the random working of chance or meritocracy. Somewhere along the line, it has been felt best that either women or members of visible minorities are given that post, and that white men are rigorously excluded from it. So, in the course of those 15 years, we have had 6 women, 3 of whom belong to visible minorities, and 3 men, 2 of whom also belong to visible minorities, with, as I say, a white man in post for 6 days. Now, those 15 years have, of course, coincided with a huge rise in immigration, which may possibly be coincidental. It may be that all those ethnic minority Home Secretaries simply rose to the position through merit alone and were a symptom of the increasing diversity of our society. This might also account for the fact that most Home Secretaries these days are women, and that 3 have been ethnic minority women. It is fairly plain that some kind of decision was made by both the Conservatives and the Labour Party that having nothing but white men as Home Secretary was, for some obscure reason, undesirable. After more than 200 years of nothing but white men, it was thought that a new rule should be instituted so that instead of every Home Secretary being a white man, from now on Home Secretary should be anything at all but white men. Women, visible minorities, it didn't really matter as long as white men were kept away from that particular great office of state. As I said at the beginning, this is one of those things which has happened, about which nothing is ever said. Newspapers ignore it, people feel it polite not to speak about it, And if anybody does say anything, we look at that person as though he is mad for even noticing what has happened. I don't particularly mind about this new arrangement. All that I'm asking is when and why the decision was taken. The two main parties must have agreed this between them, for the policy has been sedulously applied by both. I wonder if any viewers have seen this remarked upon anywhere, or can shed any light upon what has happened.